how did LSD change your style and help you express yourself through dance?
I used to go a lot out to see bands when I was younger and that, and I used to drink a lot, and then I won't mention the guy's name, but a real rebel in Bundino was the only other hippie that I knew of that was bringing home all his hippie mates and staying down at this place down Gibbon when his father was out of town or not there. We'd have big parties on this house right by the beach at Gibbon. And he was a hippie and he had heaps of hippie friends and they all would come. So I met all them blokes like that and someone gave me some LSD and when I had the LSD I was watching all these people acting the way when they're drunk and it really freaked me out. I thought, is that what I'm like, So it really changed me just having LSD, seeing what actual alcohol behaviour looks like, and it freaked me out. I never wanted to touch alcohol again. So that changed me. So, and then I started going out and watching bands tripping. And one day this band called the La-Di-Dahs, I don't know if they're an old famous Australian band, and they were playing at this place called the Joseph's Coat. It's down near where the entertainment is, there down near Darling Harbour. And it was an old hotel and it was, all these rooms were made with fluorescent lights and had different features in it for trippers and people going around. They had a band at the bottom and a band at the top because it was 2-story and with a big bench and you could look over and watch the people dancing down below and see the band when the band down the bottom finished, the band at the top would start, so it was non-stop music. And one night the La-Di-Dahs were playing and I was tripping and the music was so good. I just jumped through the window and the music took me, it just took me. It just made me feel like, wow, this is so good. And I started dancing my head off to this music. And I always liked dancing, but I was too shy. But the LSD made me forget about all that. I just wanted to have fun. So from then on, when I got older and I used to go up, I stayed at Byron, I'd see other bands. Sometimes I'd dance to a couple of sessions before anybody else danced, so I got the dance floor to myself. And I learnt through the LSD how to dance and that. And people would say to me, do you drink or anything before you go out there and dance? I said, no, I go out there and dance. I don't think about people thinking about me. I'm thinking about me having a good time. I'm not letting what other people think disrupt that. And they went, wow, yeah, that's a really good way to think, I said, well, it's the truth. Don't let other people stop you enjoying yourself. Do what you feel, what makes you feel good, and don't worry about what other people are thinking. And it turns out other people thought, wow, I wish I could do that. Exactly the opposite of what I thought might happen, People think this guy's crazy, But a lot didn't. A lot thought, gee, I wish I could do that, Get up and enjoy myself without worrying of being inhibited by everybody around looking at you, I didn't care about people looking at me. I was more into dancing to the music. And that's what I found out through the LSD. I wasn't dancing to the music. I was the music. There was no separation. The music was me, and I was just expressing it through movement and shape. So that became really, really. I played soccer, and we'd have a band on the Thursday nights after training, and they'd all used to go up and after training they'd watch me dancing for about 3 sessions before anybody else danced. They thought I was the fittest guy out, but I wasn't the fittest guy out. I was just, the energy was just there because I loved it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I reckon love gives you energy. There's nothing surer than that. It's like if you really like to surf, you don't think about all the paddling you're doing. You're thinking about the next wave you're going to catch. So it's an effortless thing. Effort. So I learnt that too.
You were such a groovy dancer. Did you get any gigs? How was the feeling and impact?
Oh yeah, they used to come and pick me up at the farm that I stayed at, and they'd make sure that I went with them, and I took a little bit of dope too, and so we'd all have a smoke. But they took me because I'd get everybody up dancing a lot, and the drummer used to say to me, when you dance and you dance at me and you run at me and you do all the things you do, it makes me hit the skins harder. You know, he said it really gets me pumped. So, I help them too. And that's what I realised, that when people are playing music and everybody's raging to it, it really lifts them, really lifts them and makes them even better than what they're doing, because they can see the reaction they're getting, which pumps them, So the reaction that the band got from me and my dancing really give them, I turned up a couple of times to when big bands were playing. They had the local bands play first, and sometimes there was 5,000 or 6,000 people there, all watching. And the local band would start, and I'd just walk out and start dancing, and the lead singer would go, "Hi, Greg." Everybody's looking around going, "What?" And I'd start dancing. So, it didn't worry me whether there was 2 people there or 20,000. I didn't think about that. What I thought about was what I liked doing. I didn't let all them people stop me. That was what was really life-changing to me, and it was so enjoyable. Now I'm older, I can't. I still dance a little bit to myself and have fun, but I used to really dance strongly, and so I'd meet people in Sydney and that when I'd come back and I'd dance near the cross, and that bands were playing and that. And some of them would come out of the band and say, "Oh, I love your dancing, man. It really gets us going, And I think, wow, it really spreads, It's really good the way people see it, It's not only the guys that are playing, but they like to see people enjoying them. That's really important to them. And I was someone who enjoyed it, especially if. But it had to be good. It had to make me feel like doing it. I couldn't force myself to do it. It had to be good. It had to drag me. If the music was really good, I was dragged into it. It was like being sucked into a vacuum, that I couldn't pull out of because it just dragged me in. And everything else was forgotten. Nothing else mattered. The only thing that mattered was the now and what I was doing right now, and how good it felt.
Were you on LSD all the time?
No, I wasn't. I was hardly doing anything. Sometimes I'd do it without anything because I was getting more off on the music than any drug that could give me, But yeah, sometimes I'd take mushrooms, and on the mushrooms I was really good because the mushrooms put you into a higher, more quieter state of mind where you could have, things were much more, there was much more clarity, and it was so much easier to feel and listen. And well, I didn't listen because I was it. It didn't have to listen. I was it. If you ever watched anyone, the greatest dancer that I ever seen was Ian Anderson. He was just in 72 when I seen him, 72. He had leotards and he danced, and he'd get beside the guitarist with his flute and he'd pull the sounds of the guitar out of the air, and he'd do all this, and he'd fucking spin around, and he was like a ballet rock dancer, and that's And I was so intrigued by it, it was my biggest influence for dancing, Ian Anderson for sure. And I didn't want to duplicate but it made me see that music was shape. Music has shape. If you listen to music, it has shape and colour, but you have to see it. You have to be really deeply moved by it, I guess, and the drugs certainly help. But without them, you could do it too, because it's like LSD was like showing you how to get through the bush, and how to get to the end. So once you knew how to get there and how it worked, you could go on your own without the LSD. It was just a glimpse. It just showed you what you could have. For me, that's what it did. It's me, Johnny. I'm home.